The Golden Boot Pod is proud to announce that merchandise is now available. We have everything from t-shirts and hoodies, to hats and beanies, to drinkware, to wearables and blankets. You can find it all under the merchandise tab at thegoldenboot.podbean.com or go directly to thegoldenboot.com. As always, thank you for supporting the Golden Boot Pod.
The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
You muted, Pooh.
My bad. Players mess up.
Yeah, we saw it last night.
Don't thread me on Twitter. Don't come after me on Twitter. My NIL and stuff. We'll get to that. Welcome to the Golden Boot Podcast. It's your boy Pooh Bell. I got my man Ant Peter Murphy in the building.
What's up?
We got Chris Honeybun in the building. And first off, good morning, everybody. Well, good afternoon.
You ain't even got to do all the pleasantries, dog. We know it wasn't good morning, dog. Everybody's still feeling it from last night, bro.
Yeah. Let me go ahead. Yeah, I know you said. Let me go ahead and get some stuff out of the way first. Our poll of the people poll of the week. We asked, what will the score be in the game versus Florida State? By a wide margin, we LSU fans thought we'd win by 10 plus. In second place was 0 to 9 points, and third was Florida State by 10 plus, but only at 5.5%, and then 1.8% said Florida State will win by 0 to 9 points. 1.8%, go see Vegas. Y'all got some money y'all losing out on. But fellas, this show originally, I think we were going to come on talk about kind of the breakdown of the game and stuff. I don't know if we really want to do that. There's a lot of post-game shows. A lot of people did some breakdowns. I got some other stuff I got to get off my chest. But we can go ahead and get to that. But first, people, if you're watching, go ahead and do us a favor. Like, follow, and share. Good evening to everybody in the chat, or good afternoon to everybody in the chat. Miss Petty. That intro fire, we thank you. Shout out to Delonte Lee again for everything he's done.
Blessing us with that heat.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and jump to the first comment because we can start off here. Brambo says Matt House needs to lock himself in the film room. Third down defense was very poor. Durante Jones would have done better.
Yeah, third down defense was terrible. 11 or 17, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
you ain't gonna win too many ball games if your defense can't get off the field on third down.
Not at all. Not at all. You will not win any games doing that, man. It just looks like a repeat thing since 2019. I don't know what we did to win in 2019, but it's been going downhill ever since. I actually have a little hope with Jaden Daniels back there now that he showed me, bro, that we can stay in games with him there. So I still feel very bad, but he gave me a little light. So if we can bounce back against Mississippi State, it might take all this away. But until we hurt until we play him.
I say this: Mississippi State if our coverage don't get better, they gonna expose some things. They gonna
Yeah, man.
Mike Leach gonna he gonna put the ball in the air. So our back end, our linebackers and coverage gonna
Yeah.
have to be a lot better going up against Mississippi State. Because like our last show we did with Ben, he said if Jordan Travis throw the ball 30 times, LSU wins. Jordan Travis threw the ball more than 30 times and LSU lost.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the stats here. So first off, one thing I want to notice that I noticed I didn't even pay attention to last night. LSU only had 11 third downs. Florida State had they converted 11 third downs. So
Yeah.
that's something. And then Jordan Travis threw for 33 times.
Yeah. So I mean, I give credit to Florida State because everybody thought that the way they played against Duquesne and the way they ran the ball, that they was gonna come out try to establish the run and play action and stuff off that. But they came out slinging it. You know what I mean? And you got to give them credit. They did what they came to do, and our defense kind of especially the secondary, man. Makai Gardner, I ain't trying to single nobody, players out individually, but there was multiple times where we had guys out of position, and you can't do that, bro. Especially going up, like we said, Mississippi State coming up, Tennessee. Some of these offenses we gonna see. You got to get that correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Delonte in the chat. He does our intro, our outro, pretty much any musical needs. We hit him up and he helps us out, man. So we appreciate it. But to get back on topic, this old vet, I have your comment. Save your first comment. I'm gonna get to that, but that's gonna be a long conversation, and I don't want to jump into it just yet. But just know I see what you're saying. Brambo came back and says nobody was calm when Coach O had bad losses. Why should this be any different? So let's say I do want to say that we lost to Troy.
Well,
We
I
lost.
said this. I thought the program Coach Owen inherited from Les Miles was in better shape than the program that Brian Kelly got from Coach O. So I understand the premise of Coach O wasn't necessarily giving grace all the time, but he wasn't working with the same deck. He wasn't working with the same hand that Brian Kelly working with. So it's a little different situation.
Yeah, and Brian Kelly and Coach O didn't have to deal with the transfer portal and all that at first hand either. That wasn't a thing yet. NIL, all that good stuff. So it's a little worse for him right now, man. I don't put none of that on Brian Kelly. I ain't ready for him to go. I still see some potential, especially with the clock management and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Something we ain't seen in a while.
Yeah, I will say this. Go put Brambo comment up, Pooh. The
Which
last
one?
this the second one he got right here. The last one he just put up.
Mississippi State.
Yeah. Well, not I wasn't really referring to Mississippi State part, but the part about Denbrock and the play calling. If you only thing I really ain't like about the play calling was early in the game. I feel like we didn't try to establish the run that much.
Hmm.
Um, you had like 3 carries. Like on one of that first drive, I
It
don't think
was
the running back didn't get a carry till we was in the red zone. You
the
know what I
first
mean? Then
the first 3 plays were a pass that Jaden took off on.
Mhm.
Then it was a pass to no, I'm sorry, the first 2 plays. Pass he took off on the pass to um, um, Bootsy that was missed, and then I think he threw was it the
Then he ran again. He ran again to inside the 9 or something like around the 10. Then we handed it off.
yeah.
Then on the next drive, we went 3 and out. And then on the following drive, we didn't hand the ball out to running back till we was in Florida State territory again. So it's like it's the offensive line struggles and some of the running back struggles. I think you could kind of look at the fact that you got to get in a rhythm as a running back and as an offensive line unit. If you as an offensive line, you want to be going downhill. You want to be run blocking. And if you just dropping back in the pass set every time, it's easy for the defense to, pin their ears back and get after the quarterback if they don't have to worry about being, playing the run. So I just feel like Denbrock got to do a better job of getting the offensive line in the rhythm with the running game and the running backs in the rhythm, and by actually giving the ball to the running backs more than 3 times in the first half or 4 times, whatever it was. We didn't run the ball that much with the running backs in the first half.
Yeah. Julian Romero. I think this our man Julian from the Miami fan. Shout out. What's good, Julian? Says didn't help that Florida State controlled the time of possession and defense was out there too long. I can't.
Very facts. Very.
You know what I'm
Well,
saying? If you don't get, so I in the past, the defense has been on the field for a long period of time because the offense couldn't sustain a drive. In this case, the defense was out there because they couldn't get any. They couldn't stop anything on third down.
Yep.
So Florida State got their first third and out. First 3 and out on the last punt of the game.
And every time on second and long, them dudes come out running and they get like 7 yards right back. So they made every third down manageable.
Because that's the thing. Everything was third and short, and
Yep.
they either they was gonna throw the ball or Travis would beat us outside with his legs and get and scramble for a first down. Like we talked about, defensive line having to be able to keep contained, and we saw plenty of times where they keep come crashing down on the third and short. Travis around the edge, first down. So,
okay. Bjor, I think that's how you pronounce it when it's got the little accents. Bjor says, "How many targets does Beck had? How many targets Beck had? Looked like he wasn't involved at all.
Like 3, maybe
2.
Yeah, I don't think it was much.
Yeah, why wasn't Fish in the game?
I don't know, bro.
I know he was out injured, but he's back. He's been back at practice. I don't know if it's a comfort level from the coaching standpoint, or if it's just as fans who we think should be in the game. But it's a lot of players that didn't see the field who I thought we'd see.
Well, I wonder if Besh wasn't a victim of wanting to go 2 tight ends and a little more.
That's true.
So I think that could be part of it, but you got to find a way to get them the ball, bro. Even whenever the pass protection wouldn't hold up in the first half good enough for Jaden to get the ball to Kayshawn and them out wide. I mean, you could do some reverses, some kind of shovel passes. You gotta find a way to get your playmakers the ball.
Yeah, I do want to say I don't want to take anything away from Florida State. Florida State came out with a hell of a game plan. Week 1 to week 2, and this is their second game, and they were able to at least establish a battle rhythm in their game against Duquesne. We did not. If I'm looking, let me look at their rushing yards. They had 132 rushing yards, and no running back they had more than 40, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look back at it. No running back. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. T. Ward had 49. He had 16 carries though, and 49 yards rushing. So no running back. Nobody run over 50. I think we did a good job of slowing down or stopping the run. The problem is the timing of when we stopped it.
Yeah, well, and see, my thing is we did a good job stopping the run, and yet somehow they would kept being able to convert third downs. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that lets me know that the back end is what gave up, and we discussed this on the show how many times, bro, about all the new faces we got back there in the secondary. Will they be able to be in the right place at the right time, and trust one another to be at the right spot? And it was time and time again that somebody would be trailing us. It looked like somebody would be out of position, or two guys would go on the out route and leave one guy open. You know what I mean? It just seemed like there was some kind of disconnect.
Yeah. I'll say this: Kobe Richardson was as advertised. That man played a game. Pass breakups, he was there. He, recovered.
I thought Converse played a good game.
Converse did. Blake AYS says, shout out to Jaden Daniels. He said
Converse lost me when he let 80 score that touchdown.
He said, my feelings are hurt, LMAO. You talking about the first touchdown? That wasn't him, was it? That was Makai Gardner.
Yeah, Makai. That flea flicker was
Second
The
was
one that
the one with dude made the
one
one handed catch.
wait. You know why he caught it with one hand? You know why he caught it with one hand? Because the other hand was literally pushing off. And I don't know how the refs did not call it, but they called defensive pass interference on that. The guy's
they
pushing
called it
off
on
like
Converse.
he literally has a hand extended. I don't I don't know, man. Yeah. And Carl Dunn, hold on. Brody Dupree says major hat tip to Jordan Travis. He made some NFL throws last night.
Man,
I
he
give him
did
that.
the one where Ali Gay headbutted him like like some kind of wrestling move. That was a dime that he threw on
Yeah,
while he
that,
stood.
that, that was that same play, the one hand
Yeah,
catch. Carl Dunn comes in and said, "Game one wasn't a great game plan, but almost having a chance to win. I'll take it. Better ending than last season." One thing, and something we saw. Blake pointed out on his show yesterday morning. Every game in week one except for one or two was a dogfight.
yeah.
Every game between Power Five conferences, Power Five opponents was a dogfight, except for maybe one or two. So we came out on the wrong side of this one.
And see, that was kind of my concern was, and everybody kept like, oh, Florida State's unranked. Florida State. I mean, LSU's unranked too, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think some fans and like media, not LSU media per se, but national media, I think some of them kind of looked at it like LSU is LSU and Florida State ain't been good in the past 5-6 years. Not realizing that we kind of on the same level right now because neither one of us a top 25 team in the country right now.
Yeah. Brambo Brambo brings up he said if FSU wouldn't have fumbled, Jaden would have finished with less than 200 yards passing and about 90 yards rushing. And Booty appears to be upset.
Well,
The Booty thing, I'm not even sure. I'm be honest with you, I don't even care at this point. But you make some valid points. But one thing I will say, his stats, because I don't think he had any drops on that last drive, but he was 26 of 35. Hold on, let me add this up. He was 26 of 35, 209 yards.
hey, can you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah. All right. 26 of 35, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then he rushing 16 for 114.
Yeah, so on that last drive, he had like 30, 40 yards rushing. So he would have been like 13 for 70 something rushing.
Yeah.
But look, he also had 2 possessions taken away from the offense by special teams. You know what I mean? And then he had a touchdown dropped on the first drive, and then a bad snap that basically killed the drive. Then the following 2 drives later, they had a penalty that pushed them back, and then the next play a drop touchdown in the end zone. So I mean, if you look at that's what he said was true though, but at the same time, if you want to go with ifs and hypotheticals, he could have had 4 touchdown passes
4 touchdowns
and like 300 yards pass. You know what I'm saying? 300 yards.
30. He could have been 30 or 36.
Yeah, well, and
30 or 35. I'm sorry.
There was some other drops too, though. You know what I mean? On that crosser, there was a drop pass where he kind of waited to get the ball to Kayshawn. That was a drop, and Kayshawn has Green in front of him, so that could have been, 30-yard reception, with catch and run. So I mean, if you want to play the if game, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
And you can't play the if game in that situation anyway because the game is played in 4 quarters. He did that inside regulation, and like it was overtime. He did that in regulation.
So Daniel, shout out Daniel. He said, "Fellas, that was tough." Yeah. Yeah.
I said it to last night, and I said it to Pooh before the show. I'd rather lose by 2 touchdowns than to lose like that, the way we lost last night, bro.
Mm-hmm. Something else you said before the show. A coach that we didn't talk about losing
Yeah.
and the effects. Greg McMahon.
Yeah. I think everybody just kind of glossed over the fact that we had
It's
a new
special
special teams
special
coach.
teams.
And and on special teams, the only thing we were talked about was replacing K York. It was just the kicker. It wasn't about punt return. It wasn't about who's the punter. It wasn't about kick return. It wasn't about protection. It wasn't none of that. It was just the kicker. And I don't think either one of those blocked kickers was on the kicker. I
Two
think
most punts and a shank kick and still almost won.
yeah. I don't think either one of those kicks was on the kicker though. And
All right, so I'm gonna read these two comments and I'm gonna go into what I need to it's burning me up. So this old vet, can we please get the fan base to calm down? And then Daniel says he's more disappointed in the fans. So this is a little unorthodox, but y'all stick with me. All right, so normally we do our altar calls at the end and stuff, and I don't even know honestly if we have altar call, but for me, this whole show feels like it's gonna be an altar call, and I'm calling out fans, not everybody. And I'm gonna say this: somebody once told me, "You gonna need to say amen or you gonna say ouch. You choose which one. If it don't apply, let it fly." But I think it's a shame. It is pathetic for you as a fan, somebody who's not even participating, to make statements like, saying we need to pull this kid's scholarship, take his NIL money. I hope his mama starve. I can't. I'm not gonna call the guy's name. He's on Twitter. I'm pretty sure some of y'all have seen it. But to to make statements like that is disgusting. How do you call yourself a fan and you're upset over a game, a game that was poorly played, but the kids never gave up. And that same player that you was talking about, you need to pull his scholarship. It's the same player who caught the first two passes to get you out of the shadow of your goalpost and get the game going, get that drive going. It makes no sense for you to be talking all kind of craziness on Twitter behind the keyboard, knowing if you was in, you wouldn't say that to that player face. No player face. And I tell you what, you damn sure wouldn't say it to his mama. And when his mama called you out, you backed out and you deleted the tweet.
then no, he doubled down on it, and he said something
down,
about he only deleted it because he didn't want people in his mentions. So you okay calling out a young man on Twitter, blasting him on Twitter, but you don't want people blasting you on Twitter? Come on, man.
Yeah, that's just.
And then on top of that, when you got former players who know what it's like to be in that situation, getting called out by the fans, to turn around and do the same thing that the fans doing and calling out the players, talking trash about the players, you should do better. You should know better because you've been in that situation.
So, it's public. I got into it with a former player who I had a lot of respect for. I lost some of that respect last night. I'm gonna say this: what you were saying is not completely wrong. It's not wrong. LSU did set a standard. You guys set a standard in 2019, but at the same time, it's a way to say stuff and it's a time to say it. Take your ass into the DMs, call them players, hit them up, talk to them that way. Because you doing that in public, now you got recruits and their parents like, dang, this is how we treat our own after a loss?
Yeah.
LSU had 39 players at the end of last season. We are up to 84, 85 now, 83 maybe, because Miles did leave. We have 80 plus now. So it's a lot of players who weren't on that team for your standard that are there now. But guess what? They was out there fighting last night. They saw themselves fall behind because they made mistakes, but they didn't give up. But yet you want to talk about a standard. How about having a standard of decency and just talk to them in private? Encourage them in private. Again, what you said was not wrong. They're not above criticism. I'm not saying that. But when from the outside looking in, if I see that, dang, you supposed to be on my team, you supposed to understand me and what I'm going through, and you coming at me, you joining in with all these people who don't know football from their ass, and you talking about, oh, you know what I'm saying? Oh, y'all gonna lose to Southern. Yeah, I'm with. Yeah, I think we all think y'all gonna lose to Southern. You sound stupid. You sound lame. And you sound like you just joined in on another trend of, hey, let me bash these players. And then your excuse is, well, I got rings, I can do that. You ain't had them rings in 2018, but y'all stuck together. And I'm sure there was some former players that encouraged you. Because I don't remember in 2018 former players coming on there and saying, hey, you know what I'm saying, y'all suck. Hey, y'all, you know what I'm saying, not on Twitter. Now they may have done it in private and just talked to you, encouraged you, but I don't remember that. I don't remember seeing it on Twitter in public. I don't know if y'all may have seen it. I've seen fans, yeah, they talk major. But for you to come out there and do that thing, come on, man. You got to be better than that.
Yeah, bro, and it's sad. And as far as the losing the Southern, all the fans who were saying, "Man, we're gonna lose the Southern now," at in the first half of the game, but who then was cheering for LSU on that last drive, saying, "Wow, this is awesome," and all that kind of stuff. You can stop that fair weather stuff too, bro. Either you're gonna be in or you're gonna be out, bro. We ain't got time for all that on the ship, off the ship stuff, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. I live in Alabama. It could have been easy for me to jump ship and be like, roll tide, roll tide. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna ride with them. It could have been easy. I could have jumped ship and be like, hey, War Eagle, Auburn, all day. I literally get harassed and talk crazy. People follow me in traffic because they see a LSU tag or a LSU flag and harass me. So I get it. I get it. The criticism and stuff. But we talking about somebody who giving blood, sweat, and tears on this field. Literally fighting their heart. And they just had that. Think about how we felt as fans. This 1 point loss off a block field goal. Now think about the young man who missed his assignment and allowed that block. And you talking behind a keyboard when you could easily call them. Or you can easily reach out in private. Hey, y'all got some stuff to step up, but stay encouraged. But you want to, you know what I'm saying? It happened to us. You know what I'm saying? Back in my day.
You doing it to a guy who's at the same position, at the same position you play. That should be like your little brother. You know what I mean? That should be a guy that you should be mentoring. And instead you bashing him on social media talking about we all feel like that. Nah, we all don't feel like that because I don't feel like that, bro.
Yeah. Hold on. We got Daniel. He's trying to. Daniel, you with us?
What's up, fellas?
What's good, man? Sorry for your inconvenience, man, but
all good.
Glad you can jump on for a second, man. What's good with you, man?
All good, man. Not much, man. On the way back to Lafayette, and man, to be honest with you, it's kind of crazy because FSU showed up, man. I got to give it to them. That fan base, they showed up. I can still hear that chant in my head. You know what I'm saying? And I went to sleep with it, hearing it in my head. But I can't say, man, the game was nice. The crowd really wasn't. I was shocked the crowd really wasn't into it as much as I would like to be. So it's kind of crazy to see the fans going off on the kids like that. But you know what? To say that we were down by 2 touchdowns, I want to say going into the fourth or something like that, or 2 scores, to see those kids battle back and to lose it, kind of like what you were saying earlier, to lose it like that is pretty tough. But I do like the fact that they battled back, man. And they had all the momentum going. If it was me, I would have went for 2.
Yeah.
You got all the momentum. You know what I'm saying? I'm going for 2 in that situation. But I would just caution people, look, don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't get all up in arms. This is going to be a long season. But then you got to remember, I don't know, are you guys hearing anything on our guy?
Mason Smith?
Mason Smith?
We hadn't heard anything yet. So, and then there's no press conference today. So
Yeah, he's supposed to be getting an MRI today.
Okay, perfect. Well, and that's the thing too, man. I mean, we lost probably our best defensive player. You know what I'm saying? Early in the game yesterday. And I know some people were saying they was getting pushed off the ball, but man, you got to get in the flow of the game. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that the defense showed up toward the end of the game and the offense showed up also, I'm kind of happy about that. And it's going to be a long football season. Our team, like you said, Pooh, earlier, we had 36 players toward the end of the season last year. Now we got 84. Give them time. New coaching staff. You know what I'm saying? Give them time, man, and it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be a long football season.
And I said this before, and I'm gonna say we lost to UAB, won the national championship. Not in the same season, but still, we lost to Troy, won the national championship. Come on,
Hold on, Brembo. Hold up. Who? So you trying to blame Brian Kelly and Flint for Mason Smith's non-contact injury from when he was celebrating? That I don't know what you mean by BK and Flint get a pass. What they supposed to get a blame for?
I mean, coming out of, I'll say this, coming out of
camp, nobody was injured.
Somebody did a what you call it? We literally had 94% less injuries coming out of fall camp than we had in the previous regime. I mean, so I don't know if you know what I'm saying. I'll say this, Coach O got a lot of blame for some stuff. He's the head man, and I give it to him. Yeah, I agree with that. It's some stuff that he probably shouldn't have been blamed for. But I will say this: the reason our roster is patchwork and transfers and the way it is now is because of Coach O. Coach Moffitt did great things over the years, but it became a point where we were getting dominated in the trenches. We weren't getting stronger. And to be honest with you, our players look bigger and stuff. We got dominated last night.
Yeah. At
first year. So I'm hoping it's just that it's still the first year. But our players look bigger, they're healthier.
They do. They look better. They look in shape. Our linemen don't look all sloppy. You know what I'm saying? When I was looking at our guy last night, tape, and our guy looks good. You know what I'm saying? They're all in shape. But I would say this too. I think the only thing that we're lacking is that speed on the defensive line. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the only thing we're lacking right now.
I think that was just on the reason why we didn't see it that much last night. They were out there so long that they were tired. So
we can get off on third down.
That's an area of concern. So
that's what you ain't gonna win too many games whenever you 11 or 17. I mean, on third down defense, that's first of all, your offense can't get in the rhythm. You know what I mean? Because they don't have the ball, and your defense is gassed.
You're not going to win many games giving up 7.9 yards per pass either.
What was the time of possession, Pooh?
All right. Time of possession, 34 minutes and 6 seconds to 25 minutes and 54 seconds.
So they had about 10 more minutes pretty much.
Yeah.
Bro, and honestly, last night too, that last drive, it was kind of like 21, you know?
Yeah, that last drive was what, 80 seconds? So I mean, one of our drives took a minute, so we really had the ball for 23 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we had miscues, don't get me wrong. We shot ourselves in the foot on some drives and got in the red zone, had penalties and bad snaps and stuff.
One thing, if we look at penalties, they had 7 penalties for 80 yards. This is their second game. Our first game, we had 4 penalties, 45 yards. So we're a little bit more disciplined. And some of our penalties were ticky-tack.
Timing of the penalty, though.
Timing was bad.
You get in the red zone, you get a penalty. Then you get a penalty on a kickoff that lets them start the ball at the 40. You know what I mean? It's just little small things like that.
Yeah, so.
Right. Can I ask you guys, have y'all talked about any positive things yet?
we started out, we talked about I'm gonna say I don't know. Like we can jump into it. We can jump into it. Go ahead, Dan.
I do got one. I know he had a foolish penalty at the end of the game, but bro, Harold Purpose looked like a man, bro.
I know that
He looked like
when
a man.
the score we had before, I
When he
think to make it
when he
17.
tackled two people, when he tackled the dude,
Yes. Hey, and look, guys, I'm looking because him and Chris Hilton are right across from each other. So I'm watching both of them run down on kickoff. And bro, he's right there with Chris Hilton. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, bro, he looks like Devin White. You know what I'm saying? So, oh man, yeah, he's
I
gonna be
think
nice. That's one of the plus for me.
I think one of the positives for me is got to be Jure Jenkins. Um,
Gotta be.
the wide receiver that nobody ever brings up. You know what I mean? It's Bootie's best. It's neighbors. It's Brian Thomas. It's he. You know what I mean? But nobody ever brings up Jure.
He's your leading wide receiver. He had
And
5 catches, 46 yards, 2 touchdowns.
and he's just Mr. Reliable. You know what I mean? He just when you need a play, you need something to happen. Jure Jenkins is there. So I mean, I don't know. We talk about where would we be without Jaden Daniels. I take Jure Jenkins off. Where are we yesterday? You know what I mean? Like he was your passing game up until that last drive. So I don't know where we are if he doesn't play yesterday.
So I do want to point something else out. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different people catch a pass last night. And in that 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on, let me bring this up so we can all see. You had 1, 2, 3, 4 had 5 catches.
Yeah.
This doesn't have targets, but I know at one time Booty had 6 targets.
Yeah.
And 2 catches. So
And that's the what we kind of said we wanted from our quarterback, right? To get the ball in their hands and let them make plays. It just wasn't a lot of plays made in the passing game yesterday.
he was not a run first quarterback like some say. I literally watched him stand back there and if he could get through only his first read or second read in the pocket collapse, he was still looking. He scrambled at one time, took the ball, and then saw Noah Kane get open and tried to flick it to Noah Kane. So he could have easily just taken off and run, but he still was looking to pass first. But
You know what? And then I'll say this too, Jaden Daniels.
You're breaking up a little bit.
You're
bro.
breaking up.
Yeah, I don't know what you were saying, bro, but I kind of agree with what Carl Dunn said right here. Last year, that last drive would have been a disaster. Haven't seen a 99-yard drive done so nice. I know it was prevent defense, and see that I seen some LSU media saying that the only reason why he was able to complete passes was because it was prevent defense. I don't, bro. If you go 99 yards in 80 seconds, I don't care what defense they playing. That's impressive, bro. And to do it with no timeouts.
The only
Oh,
thing
one timeout.
the only thing I've ever seen prevent do is prevent the defense from winning the game. That's the only thing dude. He literally was picking apart that defense. So
Yeah, I mean, that
AYS says, as Blake says, at some point we got to respect Vegas point spreads. I do to an extent. I do. But I mean, yeah.
they did run a screen to I know they're talking about screens.
Screen to Godwin was a
They
4-yard
ran one.
loss.
They ran one to Neighbors too, and he got a first down on it, but it was only like 4 yards. He tripped up and kind of fell for a first down.
Yeah. So man, and I think Blake mentioned it last night. Daniels had 114 yards rushing, and that's not including sack yards. Because if you take the sack yards out, that man.
I don't know, bro. I don't understand. I get it. I kind of was wondering if they was gonna switch it up to see if it gave the offense a spark, but I don't see how people watched the entire game and saw what he did on those last 3 drives of the second half and said, oh no, he ain't good. We need, you know what I'm saying? We need nuts. I don't understand. And the people who like the former players and other people who asking why Miles Brennan retired and we need to see if he still loves football and all this. What do you think Miles Brennan would have done with that pressure last night?
What escapability. Now, I'll say this. I'll give Miles the Miles got, saying a stronger arm and stuff. I don't know necessarily about his decision making because we've seen him hold the ball too long. And much respect to Miles, but Jaden was who we needed last night. This would have been a slobber knocker, I guess you could say. You know what I'm saying, as they used to say. Chris, I want to come to you. You were you on the nuts bus early, and I know nuts ain't necessarily, saying nothing against him, but midway through the game, you was like, okay, I see why Jaden is the what's called. What was it that you saw that kind of
Ain't know what my favorite word, intrusive. Make a play. He can make improvise. He makes him. He can make some plays, and man, he can get you out of a bad situation. I love quarterbacks that can do that. We seen that with Joe, and it got kind of spoiled me a little bit. And I know he and Joe Burrow now, but
Mhm,
when he get in a tough situation, just like Joe did against Texas, right? He got out the
mhm.
pocket, made a play, scored a touchdown. I see that same tendency with Dayton, and that's what I like in a quarterback. And as long as we got that, we can look at that as a bright side. I'm still kind of sad. That's why I ain't saying much. 'Cause I don't take losses very well, but he he proved me wrong. Which I didn't really say nothing bad about it. When he first came to me, I was happy. I just wanted nuts because what I saw in the spring game, his passing ability and all that. But Dayton is the best fit for that O line that we have right now. He's the best fit. He
This
can
is
run better than us, you know. And
I tell you what, when we started talking about doing this podcast, we did not talk about how we would talk, saying a day after a loss.
Hmm.
I mean, I know we didn't necessarily think we was going 12-0, but
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I'm glad we didn't do no post game show last
oh
night.
my god, bro, I wouldn't have did it. There's no way I
I
could have got
was
on there and do it.
listen. I was on there with Blake.
Oh
I was
boy.
on there with Blake last night, and people in the comments were they were saying stuff, and it was so unrealistic. Saying they were talking about Jaden needs to, and he after saying heat of the moment, the reaction, the emotions. I couldn't understand. This man was literally 26 of 35, four drops, two touchdowns, zero interceptions, and he ran for another 114. So he was literally 323 of your 348 total yards. But
And take
he's
that number
he's
7
quality.
back and give it to Leonard Fournette and let him keep it, bro. That was the last of the good
I,
sevens, bro.
I ain't gonna say I understand, and a lot of people said that, but I'm be honest with you, Chris. It ain't the number that's the problem. It's
Yeah.
it's 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 the it's that it's what's inside. Um, I don't want to. I'm not trying to bash Kayshawn. Kayshawn he didn't have a good game, but his body language, and things we kind of heard this all season, they concern me.
He looked checked out.
Looks very checked out. He looks like, hey, what I'm saying, I'm just here so I don't get fined, boss.
Yeah, that after the I think it was the third drive, one we missed the field goal on or
Hmm.
blocked the field goal. They called the offsides or false start on Cam Wire. The very next play, that was the definition of going through the motions. I
It
mean,
came.
Exactly.
The ball came right to him.
you don't even look back. You don't raise your hand. You don't do nothing. You just run the route because you got to. You
And
know
I
what I
know
mean?
y'all.
Like that's the definition of going. And he better than that. And that's the thing is I want to know how he bounces back from that. I want to know how Malik Neighbors bounce back from that because that's going to tell me how far the culture of this team has changed.
Hmm.
How much has Brian Kelly really changed the culture? Are they gonna be done for the season? They checked out for the next 3-4 games, or are they gonna bounce back next game and look to make a statement?
Well, I thought I would. That's one reason I saw Kayshawn do an interview on Jordan Colada show when he had all the Alabama flirting rumors and stuff like that. I kind of lost a little respect for him then, and I see how he talk and how he how his body language was. He just kind of I don't know, like he didn't want to be here or something. I don't know if y'all saw the interview, but it was one of those cringe kind of interviews. I didn't like how he was talking, especially when he was flirting with Alabama. I kind of lost a little respect. And that's one reason I was saying that Ohio State receivers probably was better than Kayshawn. That's why I was saying that. I knew it was coming. Telling y'all, I could
I
tell.
I say this. I think the Ohio State's in a better situation just because of stability. I still think we got the best wide receiver group
Well, the
in the.
core, I think we got the best, but I think their best receiver is better than ours.
That's fair at this point. That's fair. I can't even argue with that. I mean, from what we saw, how
Well, let me go ahead and say this. I don't think Kayshawn Boutte is transferring or nothing like that, dog.
at this point he can't. I mean, he can sit out the rest of the season,
I
but
don't think, yeah, I don't think the whole deleting the Instagram thing means that he's leaving or nothing like that. I think like we saw multiple ones do that, like Neighbors and Kyron Lacey and some other guys. So I think it's more so they just tired of hearing the stuff from the fans, bro. They tired of fans in their DMs and in their mentions and what I mean, telling them that they suck or give me back your car or give me back your NIL deal, all this kind of stuff. They
let me
tired of, or you gotta walk back to Baton Rouge, all this kind of stuff. Man, they tired of hearing that, bro.
let
At
me let
the
me.
end, like, oh my bad, Pookie,
No,
but
no, my bad. I cut you off.
like Destiny Wilson said, bro, mental health matters more to these players than any of this stuff, bro. So like they not finna sit up here and just keep listening to that just because y'all want them to.
Yeah. Now I want to ask this: how many of y'all, and I'm gonna say this for Siege, how many of y'all, when you forget to flip that patty or you forget to shake the fries and stuff, how many people come back and say, "Hey, let me get that apron off you. Let me get that McDonald's hat off you, because you know what I'm saying, you don't deserve to wear this McDonald's uniform." How many people doing that? Or when you skip a route, you know what I'm saying, you skip a route on the you know what I'm saying, on your paper route, you skip a house or something like that, or y'all sound, it sounds stupid. You sound entitled. I'm gonna tell you what you sound like. You sound like you don't remember the struggles that LSU has, had been through, to get to the point of where we at. You know how I know what that sounds like? Because I see it same thing with Alabama fans who weren't there from 93 to 2006, who weren't there when Nick Saban wasn't there, and when when they hired a coach, they got fired because he went to the strip club and used the company card. Yeah, Coach Price. I can't even think. He ended up at UTEP. Yeah, yeah. He literally was on the job one day. Or when you get Dennis Franchione and you get upset because he leave your job, leave your school to go to Texas A&M. You know what I'm
But
saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You sound, and you have to put things in perspective. That's my whole thing. It has to be perspective. What we saw the last 2 years was just horrible. You know what I'm saying? It was sickening to see us go, because Chris mentioned it. We was at 2019 was an all-time high. We sold our soul, and then bam, we fall off. And now all of a sudden everything is doom and gloom. Why? You got to look the fight we saw last night. We asked a couple weeks ago, what is a successful season for LSU? People was like 8+ wins, a bowl game, 10+ and being Bama, stuff like that. And my answer, I want to see fight. If we can be in every game and fight, all right. I got some. You know what I'm saying, this ain't even his whole recruiting class. We might be all right for the next few years. So
yeah, you gotta have a foundation, bro. You know what I mean? Like the foundation Saban set lasted 20 years. All right, well it's time to report that foundation, and it ain't gonna come overnight. And like you say, the fact that we made that a game being down 2 scores in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? The fact that we could have tied that game up on the last drive says a lot about this team. It says a lot about the culture that they building because they didn't give up. The offense didn't give up. Jaden Daniels in the passing game, yeah, they wasn't it wasn't great through the first 3.5 quarters, but the last two drives they made something happen. So I just think that they got something to build on with this first game. Yeah, they got some stuff to work on. Yeah, we all agree they got a lot of stuff to work on, but
Mhm.
they also have stuff that they look at and say that's a bright spot. You know what I mean? Like that's a positive. That's a positive. So I just think fans are they too wishy washy, man. You know what I mean? They too extreme with it. It's and they allow this stuff to be a roller coaster. They either way up here, way down here, and they ain't looking at it from a realistic viewpoint. Like you said, from 39 guys 9 months ago to this, and we didn't have a week zero game like Florida State. You know, the every team makes their biggest improvement from week one to week two, and we saw the biggest improvement from Florida State from week one to week two, and we didn't have nothing to go out for. Now, I'm not saying we finna go 11-1 and or 10-2 and only lose one more game this season, but I don't think it's the end of the world because we lost one game either.
Brambo says, let's talk about the physicality of this team. FSU bullied LSU in the trenches, and they were a far more physical team. How will BK correct that before week 3? I will say this: everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Mike Tyson said that, so I agree, Brambo. Um, week 1 and week 2 adjustments. I want to see how we, what I'm saying.
Well, I'll say this too though. I remember a few weeks ago we laughed at Preston for saying that the
That's
strength
true.
the strength and conditioning coach would take a year to really see the what I'm saying the fruitions of what that hire did. And I'm starting to kind of think he might be right, bro. Because while they can look bigger and they can look in better shape, that don't necessarily mean it's gonna translate just because they look in better shape and they look more physical. They still gotta get that mindset to go along with all of that, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it might take midway through the season for us to kind of reprogram their mind to realize how they need to play the game.
Yeah, Chris H chimes in, says, I'm disappointed in the fans getting down on neighbors. I remember OBJ dropping a few punts where he was at, when he was at LSU, and he turned out just fine. Chris, I think you're a little bit, saying you may have missed it, but yeah, we definitely talked about that. That is no place for that. OBJ fumbled the punt against Georgia. The year Mendenberg was 2013. We were making a drive, and he fumbled that punt, and that basically changed the game. Um, Jordan Jefferson against in 2018 in the Fiesta Bowl, or 2019 because of the day it was played. The 2019 Fiesta Bowl, he muffed the punt that made that game closer, and almost cost us the game. So again, they turned out just fine. The team turned out just fine after that. So completely agree. All right. Um, does LSU have to learn to win again? I don't
Yeah,
know.
in a way,
Yeah.
yeah, they do. I mean, and it's not necessarily like I'm saying like, oh, none of these dudes are winners, but all right, whenever you in a game like yesterday, whenever you in a close game where any small little thing can swing the game either way, you gotta learn how to not jump off sides. You gotta learn how to keep your composure. You know what I mean? You gotta learn how to get out of bounds and not, fall inbound. Whatever the case may be, you gotta learn how to do the right things in those pressure packed situations. And whenever you've been the last couple of years, whenever you ain't had the discipline to go along with from the coaching staff to make sure that you buttoned up like that, you gotta learn how to do all that again, man. And it's not easy to. It's like muscle memory. You know what I mean? You're gonna do when the heat on, you're gonna do what's second nature to you. And if second nature to you isn't being buttoned up, then that's what you're gonna fall back on. And we gotta learn how to be buttoned up when the heat is on.
Yeah. Um, Can't say. I mean, I don't even know if I need to add anything to that. That was well said. Chris says, exactly. Sorry, late for the show. No. I know. You know what I'm saying. I was just saying that. You know, saying if you, in the beginning we did talk about that. Tyler Scott comes in and says, "Growing pains, fellas. We will get through this. Go Tigers." My dad told me the exact same thing, and it just said week 1 to week 2, you will see improvements.
Yep.
So,
I sure would have liked that improvement been on 1-0.
Well, let me ask y'all this: Do y'all want to see LSU do like what we did in 2019 and schedule a quote unquote cupcake game and then have the
Yeah.
big non-conference game week 2?
Yes. No more. I don't want to see this no more, man.
Yeah, yes and no. Chris, you talked about, because I know you mentioned, talked about Les Miles. Les Miles always had the big game in week 1 and stuff. And
But if you look at
it's a
Bama,
different
Bama's
philosophy.
playing Texas week 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We played
We played
week 2 of
Texas week 2.
2019.
Yeah, we played them in week 2. I think there's pros and cons both ways. You know what I mean? Like,
Because my question is, do you learn anything about your team week 1? I mean, of course, as a fan standpoint, we don't necessarily learn a lot about our team until we see them play a big time opponent. But at the same time, you get to work iron out those
Get
kinks.
that work, man.
yeah,
So
you get the reps, you get that, like, it's going up against live competition for the first time. Like if you look at Florida State, that wasn't the first time they tackled somebody else. You know what I mean? And if you look at us, that's the first time we tackled another team. So it took us a little while to knock some of the rust off.
yeah, I'm on one says we always won ships and played our best when our skilled players had at least one down year before they learned how to train off season. Then those guys lead the team the next year. We've had 2 or 3 down years, so I don't know if we need how
I
many
don't
more
know what
warm
you're
ups.
talking about,
Yeah,
man. What you
no, I
talking
mean
about, bro?
he's right. He's right, but
And how many more down years you want? You want next year to be down too?
yeah, I mean, but then I don't know. I ain't got much more. I guess you know what I'm saying. The only thing I got in summary is hey, you know what I'm saying. Be an adult. You don't have to. You know, so you can be critical without being an idiot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Being a you can be critical of this team and not be an idiot about how you do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't get Twitter fingers and start popping off at the mouth. I don't care what you used to be.
It's a difference between criticizing and attacking a player. You know what I mean? And especially whenever you bring up stuff that doesn't have to do with football. When you bring people family into it and other stuff, that's crossing the line, bro. And there ain't no excuse for that at any time.
I know we keep talking about 2019, but I'd love to have one on 2018 years again. Beat Miami first game and win the Fiesta. I'll take it right now, bro.
Yeah.
I think we're on the verge of something special. You know what I'm saying? The one thing I can say, take it from last night, we played one of the worst games we've seen LSU play in a long time, and they lost by 1 point to a Power 5 opponent who's actually respectable right now, who looked actually decent. It's not like we look sloppy, they look sloppy, and you know, they had 700 yards last week against Duquesne. So it's Duquesne. Can't take nothing away from that. But we held them to 3 something. We held them under to 1 something rushing to 130. Hold on, I'm pulling it back up. We held them to 132 yards rushing and 260 yards passing. 392 yards. That's respectable. You know what I'm saying? Coming off 700 yards. I think we, you know what I'm saying, it's a place place to go. You know what I'm saying? We can still go up from here, but hey, let's not it's not the end of the world. So
Yeah,
Let's pray that
Go ahead, Chris.
Louisiana give us another Leonard Fournette in the coming years.
I think we got 2 in Trey Holly and
Maybe
Caleb
so.
Jackson. So
All I'm gonna say is this, bro. We know it's just Southern this next week. We get it, but at the same time, bro, keep watch what you say whenever you talking about people on Twitter and all that, bro. If somebody make a mistake in the game, it's not the end of the world. It's a football game, bro. Be mindful of what you say because you never know who watching or who reading it.
Because you might be talking about a player on this year's team, but a player from next year's team might be like, nah, I ain't finna go there and get, you know what I'm saying, slander like that. Every fan base does it. I give them that.
Well,
We
I
can
know
get
for
better.
a fact. I know for a fact that recruit saw some of the comments and made a statement about, you know, they wrong for what they saying and ain't no need for, you know, that kind of, you know, they had that kind of sentiment about it. So y'all gonna run a recruit off and then y'all gonna be mad at Brian Kelly whenever an in-state recruit don't come here. And it's really gonna be because of the fan base and them not being able to control their mouth, and that's the reason why somebody ain't gonna be here.
Yeah, talking to them parents like real reckless.
Yeah.
Hey, all right. Well, this was a little bit different from our normal show, but you know, what I'm saying different circumstance. But we'll be back Thursday on topic. You know what I'm saying like that. We out. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on Twitter at Golden Boot. On Instagram at Golden Boot. On YouTube at The Golden Boot Pod. On Facebook at The Golden Boot Pod.
Golden Boot!